Hi, it's Shell, and today I want to go over the 8 limbs of yoga. This is our full yogic system. So, when we go to a yoga class and we take yoga postures and we spend an hour and we maybe do a little meditation or a deep relaxation, we're not really exploring the depths of yoga. We're getting a wonderful experience, but yoga is so much more than that. So that's why a yoga teacher training is 200 hours, because we have to go that much deeper. There's a lot of techniques that we use in yoga, and it all starts with these 8 limbs of yoga. So the first 2 limbs of yoga are our moral observances. The first limb being the yamas and how we interact with the world. Are we coming from a ethical, spiritual foundation, treating others with respect, non-harm, non-violence? There's a lot of deep study that we do on the yamas, and then the niyamas, which is how we treat ourselves so that we can advance spiritually. The next limb is asana, and that is what we most think of when we think of yoga. When we go to a yoga class and we do our downward facing dogs and our child's pose, that is asana practice. Asana is really important because it keeps our bodies healthy. So the idea is for spiritual advancement, and we need to have a healthy body in order to do some practices that liberate us. So being able to sit in meditative posture for a long time is really important. The asana practice keeps us healthy and able to sit for meditation. The next limb of yoga is pranayama. And it's often considered breath control, but it's also just controlling life force energy, or prana. And there's a lot of techniques for that. But often we explore breath work with that. Then there's pratyahara, the 5th limb of yoga. And this is moving away from external stimuli and withdrawing ourselves from the senses. So we start to go inward with pratyahara. It's not about what we experience on the outside world, but we start to get to know ourselves. One common practice for pratyahara is yoga nidra. There are many others. And then the next limb of yoga is dharana, or concentration. Concentration is kind of what a lot of us do when we're meditating, when we're focusing on an affirmation or a mantra. It's a one-pointed focus that starts to bring us deeper into the peace within ourselves. So it's quite like meditation, but with a one-pointed focus. And then there's meditation. A lot of times we try to jump right into meditation to feel inner peace, and we find that it doesn't work. That's because all the limbs are meant to prepare us for meditation. We need to be learning breath work. We need to be learning concentration in order to have a better meditation experience. And once we get into meditation, we start to get to know ourselves on a deeper level. We get to explore who we really are beyond the ego. We are no longer the person having the thoughts, but we are the person observing the thoughts. And then the 8th limb of yoga is samadhi. Yoga brings us on a spiritual journey that if we practice, we become peaceful, at one with bliss and consciousness. All of the practices that we learn in yoga lead us to discovering this liberation. So even if you don't want to teach yoga, to learn the deeper techniques and sacred practices of yoga, it's important to explore all of the 8 limbs. And again, that's not something that can be covered in a quick yoga class. So join me in immersion, and we will talk all about these and learn practices to bring this into our lives. Thanks so much.